hanging offense to his lengthy record. 4 years earlier, in June of 1881, Boyd and two others, Martin Stepinaw and Glenn Savage, alias the Weasel, had held up a train just outside Gold Hill, Nevada, ambushed and wounded 4 guards, and blown open the express car, making off with $30,000 in gold ingots being shipped to the Carson City Mint. 2 months later, they'd gotten drunk and careless in Virginia City. A woman faro dealer alerted the sheriff that Stepinaw had tried to pay her with slivers of metal hacked from a gold bar. He, Boyd, and Savage were arrested, and the damning evidence found on Stepinaw was part of a small ingot still bearing the O stamp of the Overstrike mine. Put on trial with no hope of acquittal, the 3 were offered a reduced sentence if they'd reveal the location of the stolen treasure. They refused, and were sentenced to 20 years in the state prison at Carson. Though rumored to be the ringleader, Boyd was released after only 4 years through the intervention of one man, Ezra Pitney, owner of the stolen gold. It was a generally known secret that Pitney had sweetened the coffers of the governor's upcoming campaign fund with a sizable contribution, in return for the governor commuting Boyd's sentence to time served. Marc Charvein lay pinned down, Colt in hand, but no target in sight. He wondered why the governor had selected this member of the trio for release. Probably because Boyd was the smartest and meanest, and Ezra Pitney knew he'd head straight for the hidden gold. It figured. It also figured that Boyd would expect to be followed. Charvein wiped a gloved hand across his brow. The doe-skin came away streaked with salt and grime. He ran his tongue over his dry, cracked lips. What now? He was in the open, without even a clump of sage or a creosote bush to hide behind. Sucking in a breath of superheated air, he fervently cursed his luck. On the baking ground behind his dead horse, he regretted with all his soul that he'd ever taken Pitney's offer to track this man and find the mine owner's stolen gold. He fumbled for his nickel-plated pocket watch. 12:30. He forced himself to lie, concealed another half hour. Was the shooter also patiently waiting, training his long buffalo gun on the dead horse, assuming Mark would rise up sooner or later and also become buzzard food? The thought made him sweat. He tried to put himself in Denson Boyd's mind. If the ex-convict intended to retrieve the stolen gold, and surely that was the only reason for rushing out into this wilderness with a pack mule, then he had to discourage any pursuit. For all Boyd knew, Charvein was just another outlaw. If ever caught and tried for murder, Boyd could always claim self-defense. There were no witnesses. Who could say otherwise? It would be his word against a dead man's. More likely, Marc Charvein would just vanish without a trace, vultures, wolves, and insects reducing his remains to scattered bones soon concealed by wind-blown dust and sand. He shivered at the image of his own demise. But a slow anger ignited. He resolved to take back the offensive. He would not be intimidated. Even though he was out of water, he still had plenty of life in him. In less than 30 minutes, the flies began to gather, buzzing in the stillness. He rolled onto his back and squinted at the brassy sky from under his bent hat brim. Far above, black vultures soared on rising thermals, drifting silently like charred pieces of paper blown aloft from a fire. He took a deep breath and exhaled. All parties to this drama bided their time: the shooter, Charvein, and the vultures who waited for the man to abandon the dead horse or become food himself. Death was slow, but vultures were patient. Charvein smiled grimly. They were nature's clean-up squad. It was just such as these that reinforced his belief in God, one part of nature balancing another. With thoughts like these, he entertained himself in a deliberate attempt to keep his mind off the man with the long-range rifle. He finally belted up to the neck of his fallen horse, removed his hat, and raised one eye above the body, hoping the shooter wasn't constantly alert, trigger finger ready. Mark wished for his field glasses to scan the gray hillside, but they lay probably crushed in the saddlebags beneath his dead horse. The silence